Hi all, welcome and welcome back to my channel. On June 15th of 2023, 32-year-old Chad Doerman shot and killed his three young sons, 7-year-old Clayton, 4-year-old Hunter, and 3-year-old Chase, and injured his wife Laura as his traumatized stepdaughter, who witnessed it all, ran screaming for help, desperate to save her family. If you heard the story, it was impossible to forget. If you didn't, it's impossible to wrap your head around. And that was just with what we knew then. But now, the prosecutor on the case shared the story of what happened in detail on that horrific day that evil visited Laurel Lindale Lane in Monroe Township, Ohio. He told the horrific story in court on Friday, August 2nd, during a surprising turn in the case. Chad Doerman pled guilty to murdering his three sons in court after accepting a plea deal from the prosecution that took the death penalty off the table as long as he pled out. The prosecutor said Doerman was offered the deal to save the mother of the boys and her daughter, the boys' half-sister, from having to relive the horror they witnessed that day during a trial. He said it was the best thing he could do to help spare them from going through it all again. He said, quote, "My position became very clear to me throughout this process, and most recently Wednesday, when we discussed this plea offer with Laura, that doing anything further would be actually an act of cruelty toward her. The trauma that these two have experienced that day and continue to experience, my job, as I saw it this week, is to relieve them of that additional agony, and that is why we are here today." Unquote. After hearing the horrific story and pure hell Doerman rained down on his family that day, the judge sentenced him to life in prison without parole, ensuring that even though he will no longer face the death penalty, he will still die within the concrete walls of prison. Just like he was emotionless during his arrest, right after brutally murdering his three young sons, he sat emotionless in court as the prosecutor laid out the timeline of his horrific acts against his babies that day. How he surprised them, hunted them down, and brutally murdered them as they tried to run away. If you didn't see the body cam video of his arrest that occurred just moments after he wiped out the lives of his young sons, it's chilling. Because he has no reaction to what he just did. Police find him calmly sitting on his front porch, with his kids laying lifeless and dying in the yard in front of him. Blacked out in the video, of course. As if he's just relaxing, enjoying the massacre he just committed. And when police throw him to the ground to take him into custody, he speaks to them calmly and normally, as if nothing's wrong, and it's just another normal day at the house. No biggie. As his wife is screaming and crying in the background, and police are running from boy to boy, desperately trying to render aid. You have to see it for yourself to believe it. So, strap in, folks, because I'm going to show it to you now.
The female that went to the firehouse is advising them that the male shot the entire family.
Hey, 137.
You're clear.
Where's he at?
He said, shooter's still on the porch.
Get him right here. Right here. You got him on the porch.
We've
Right
asked, that's the last place we've been told.
you
that
show
he's
me
on
your
the
hands
porch.
now! Stand up and
Stand up and walk towards us!
Stand up now!
Walk towards us! Stand up with your hands up!
Chad Doerman. Chad
Hey.
Doerman.
I know, but I know, but we can't.
If people need first aid and he's not complying, and you know he's the shooter, shoot him.
We gotta find cover first. We ain't no good if we ain't safe ourselves. Hey, no. We need to come from this side where we can see them. Don't take cover behind her. We see them. We're going to approach from this side. We got cover. Right here.
6 Robert, 29 and 63 is type out.
Yeah, I'm okay right now.
Show us your fucking hands now!
Stand up!
Stand up! Stand up!
Stand up now! Stand up!
Stand the fuck up!
EMS to stage and air clear is going to go ahead and fly whenever any units can advise.
Get your hands out of here.
72.
Come on, 21. It's in the air.
If those guys can confirm that there's people that need first aid and that's the shooter, he's not complying, they need to take care of the
I got it.
victims. If they have to shoot him, then shoot him.
Man, I ain't trying to hurt nobody or nothing. I'm completely sober. Never did drugs a day
63,
in my
we're
life.
21. Get the EMS over here.
Well, I did drugs when I was little, but I don't do drugs now. I'm sober. I'm not trying to fight you. Gatlin,
63.
get your butt inside. Gatlin, get your butt inside.
We on primary?
Now.
29, we got 3 kids down.
3 kids down, 16 kids up.
Gatlin.
63, we're 21.
Knock
Have
it off.
EMS respond over here.
You're clear, they're being advised.
Robert 34, just started mass casualty response.
63, do you want them to respond to the Laurel Lindale address? Where exactly do you need them?
We're right in the front yard. What are you doing, man?
Hey, are you copying all this?
Can I roll over? I ain't gonna hurt you. I ain't gonna hurt
You
nobody.
got anything on you?
No, I ain't got nothing, man. Phone, that's it. I ain't mad. I ain't nothing. Just make sure that dog don't come out. I don't think he'll bite you. Just don't reach for him and try to grab him and pet him.
All right.
He won't bite you.
What's going on, man?
Nothing. Can I stand up? It's kind of uncomfortable.
I'm gonna get
I ain't
you
gonna
here
do
in a
nothing. I ain't
second.
running away. You can do whatever you want with me.
Here. You the only one else inside the house?
What?
You the only one else inside the house? Sit down right here.
My daughter, she ran over to the fire department.
Sit down.
It's my stepdaughter.
Put him in the cage.
This is real.
Unreal. If you go back and watch my video I posted shortly after the news of the murders came out last year, I called it like I saw it. Doerman was not in there. In my opinion, only a demon could have done what he did to his precious boys, then walked away without a care in the world. But maybe you don't believe in demons, and that's fine. We don't have to agree. But I don't know how else you'd explain not only his carefree, emotionless behavior that day, or how he was able to sit in court after accepting the plea deal and listen to the prosecutor describe in detail what he did, with no emotion. A story the prosecutor even had difficulty getting through without breaking down, without so much as even shedding a tear for his sons. He didn't care. But see how far you get while listening to it before you can't hold back your tears anymore. I bet it won't be long. The only bit of emotion we even saw from that monster was when the victim's advocate read the impact statement from his stepdaughter. For some reason, Her words affected him for a moment or two. In a way, killing his sons didn't seem to. Maybe he had a brief moment of his human side trying to reach the surface. Or maybe he was just faking it to try to seem like he cared. He certainly showed no emotion while the advocate read his ex-wife Laura's impact statement. Didn't seem to faze him at all that her life is ruined without her precious boys, and she will live in that hell until she takes her last breath. A thought that probably pleased him. Watch as he sits emotionless, as he pleads guilty to killing each of his sons. And listen to the nightmare the prosecutor tells the court he put his family through that day.
Then, as to count 1, aggravated murder in violation of 290301A, an unclassified felony. How do you plead?
Guilty.
Count 2, aggravated murder in violation of 290301A, an unclassified felony. How do you plead?
Guilty.
Count 3, aggravated murder in violation of 290301A, an unclassified felony. How do you plead?
Guilty.
Count 18, felonious assault in violation of 290311A2. How do you plead?
Guilty.
And count 20, felonious assault in violation of 290311A2. How do you plead?
Guilty.
Are you entering each of these pleas of your own free will?
Yes.
No one's forced you to enter these pleas at all, correct?
No.
Fine. And on behalf of the state, the statement of facts?
Judge, may I add?
Yes. Mhm.
Please court. On or about June 15, 2023, 1965 Laurel Lindale Road, Claremont County, Ohio. The defendant did purposely and with prior calculation and design cause the death of his 3 children, Clayton Doerman, age 7, Hunter Doerman, age 4, and Chase Doerman, age 3. On that date, Judge, June 15, 2023, the defendant returned home early from work and had his family, including his wife, Laura Doerman, with him. All 3 of the boys joined him in the master bedroom for a nap. At some point after lying down with the 4 of them, the defendant got out of bed, opened a gun safe that was next to the bed, removed a Marlin Model HC-22 rifle from the gun safe and loaded the magazine. The defendant shot his son, Hunter Doerman, twice while in the bedroom. His wife, Laura, began to render aid to Hunter and yelled for the other children to run. Laura's 14-year-old daughter, Alexis, who had been watching television in the family room, made her way to the master bedroom and witnessed the killing of Hunter. Alexis immediately began to run and indicated that Chasen had fled out the back door. Clayton had fled out the back door, and that Chad Doerman was following Clayton. She ran to help to try to protect Clayton. Anyway, the 3 of them go out the back door. Clayton's first, then there's the defendant, and then Alexis. Alexis witnesses the defendant chase after Clayton, raise his rifle, fired numerous shots at Clayton as he fled, and saw Clayton fall in the field after he was struck by the gunfire. Alexis then watched as the defendant approached Clayton while he's injured, lying on the ground, defenseless, and saw the defendant put a bullet in Clayton's head, killing him. The defendant, Alexis then, Your Honor, ran back, fled into the residence where she picked up the youngest child, the little 3-year-old boy, Chase Doerman. She attempted to flee the residence with Chase to protect him, but the defendant saw her crossing the yard. The defendant gave chase, pointed the rifle directly at Alexis' head, and threatened to shoot Alexis if she did not drop Chase. Alexis put Chase down. He's crying the whole time. The defendant then pointed the firearm at Chase's head, but it just clicked. The magazine was empty. Alexis begged for the defendant not to shoot her. Chase then saw his mother, who had come outside at some point, trying to render aid to Hunter. So Chase runs to his mom. And then there's a very difficult situation that evolved where Laura and the defendant struggled over the weapon. Laura was bitten as she tried to protect Chase from the defendant. The defendant bit her. She put her thumb over the end of the barrel in an effort to stop the bullet. She was shot in the thumb. Ultimately, she had to drop Chase. During this point in time, the defendant was able to reload the firearm. He pointed the gun at Chase's head and executed him, one round to his skull. Alexis, Your Honor, suffered serious physical harm as a result, or psychological harm as a result of being held at gunpoint, forced to surrender Chase to the defendant for his execution, and witnessing her stepfather execute her brothers. Laura suffered serious physical harm, obviously, as she was shot through the thumb. Police arrived. There was really nothing that, despite her desperate fighting to save the lives of her boys, there's nothing Laura Doerman could have done. Surrendered without incident. Acknowledged immediately, he did it, take me to jail. He later gave statements, Your Honor, that he had been thinking about killing his boys since October, and that these thoughts of having to kill his sons were weighing so heavily on him that he hadn't slept in a few days. And those are the facts, Your Honor. Those are the facts that led to the death of Clayton Doerman, Hunter Doerman, and Chase Doerman, and the permanent, irreversible injuries to the psyche of Alexis and also Laura. Thank you.
Thank you.
Doerman, Your Honor. On June 15th, 2023, my life was changed forever. My life was ripped away from me and destroyed. Since that day, I have spent every day grieving the loss of my 3 sweet, so very little sons. I grieve the loss of Clayton, Hunter, and Chase every single day, and I grieve the life that they did not get to live. I no longer get to raise them and watch them grow. I miss each one of them so very much. I miss their laughter, silliness, love, and joy for life. Where there used to be so much laughter, happiness, noise of rowdy little boys, there is now silence and emptiness. I would do anything to push them on the swing, cover them up one more time, and hear their little ways of saying, I love you. All of it gone when I should have had so much more life left to live with them. I ask myself how a mother is supposed to carry on a life as a mom with 1 child left here on earth and 3 gone forever. I struggle every day with the will to get up or give up. Life for me is the true pain and suffering. I will never agree to think that any form of punishment could amount to the form of torture and suffering I have to endure each day, such as seeing children and seeing siblings together as I watch Alexis be without her brothers and seeing families together as I no longer have mine. Having to live a life where I'm visiting the same places I once was with Clayton, Hunter, and Chase all together. Traveling in the car and no longer seeing them in the rearview mirror. This also includes our family home that holds so many memories that I cannot let go of. But now it's just a devastating to face. Again, so empty and quiet. I was injured that day, fighting with every ounce of my body to just make it stop. I struggle every day, and now I have to live with this and wonder what more I could have done to save them. This tragedy has affected me mentally and physically. I replay the events of that day over and over. I get sick at the thought. Every day I have to learn how to cope and live with the trauma I now have. I have anger, frustration, and so much sadness. I had plans and dreams to watch my small boys grow up and become young men, and to always be there for them as their mom, and to be the best grandma I could be. My husband I trusted with everything made a decision that has left my life forever changed. I lost my husband and my children to this horrible crime. The law will never replace my life and give me back what I have lost. I will hold the life I had and lived so close to my heart forever. Grief will never go away, as it is all the love that is left with no place to go. And my love for Clayton, Hunter, and Chase will never go away. And I will never let them be forgotten. I quote, "When I get to where I'm going, I'll only have happy tears. Until then, I will live my days with nothing but sadness." Thank you, Judge.
Oh, thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Barron Allen.
Thank you, Your Honor. On behalf of Alexis, Chad, I trusted you with my life, and honestly, I looked up to you more than anyone. And I always wanted to make sure that I was making you proud for whatever I accomplished in life. But most of all, I saw you as my dad, not just a stepdad. I am the person who I am today because of you. And no matter what anyone says, you raised me well, and you gave me an amazing life, and I will forever be grateful for the memories and time you spent with me. Ever since what you've done, my life has been something I would never wish upon any family. It is the most heartbreaking and emotional thing anyone could go through. Chad, I miss you, and I miss the boys dearly, and nothing will ever be the same again because of you. Whenever something exciting happens, I always just want to tell you, because I know you would be so proud of me. Softball to me isn't the same anymore, because that was our sport, and that was the boys' sport. You made me an amazing ball player, and whenever I play softball, there isn't one game where I don't think about you. And whenever I get a good hit or I learn a new pitch, I always wish I could tell you, because I know you would be so proud of me. And when good things like that happen, it sucks to look on the sideline and not see you be there, and for the boys not to be cheering me on like they always did. And Chad, I still work very hard on my grades. And I was on the honor roll this past year. And I know for a fact, if you were there to see it, you would be so happy for me because my grades have always been so important to me. Another thing that has impacted me was every single holiday. Waking up on Christmas isn't the same anymore. I don't get excited. I don't even look forward to having presents because it's not the same. I don't get to wake up early and wake the boys up. I don't get to hide the elf. I don't get to do any of the fun stuff anymore because they're gone and you took their lives. And Chad, when you go to bed every single night, I want you to know that when you took those 3 boys' lives away, you took mine and you took my mom's. Chad, I don't think you understand how hard it is to wake up every day. People around me have siblings, and to hear them talk about what they did with their siblings that day, or how much they enjoy having a brother. Because deep down, that hurts me so badly and so emotionally, because it hurts to know I will never get to experience another day with my 3 brothers, or to make any memories anymore, because their innocent lives were taken away so quickly and horribly by their own father. Their father who they loved unconditionally and who they trusted more than anything. It is so painful to see you here and in jail for the rest of your life, because I have never thought in a million years you would do this, and I will never get them back. But Chad, if I'm being honest, I don't think I will ever be able to hate you. Even in 30 years from now, I will not hate you. Because yes, you did something so horrific and traumatic to those boys. But I will forever hold on to the memories I had with you and the boys, because those are all happy memories. And those were the best times. And you gave me an amazing life, and you were the best dad I could have ever asked for. I could write to you for days, but to end this off, always remember, I will never in a million years ever forgive you for what you have done, and hope you pay for your actions like you deserve. But I will never hate you.
What a monster. The prosecutor spoke later that day, explaining his decision to offer the plea deal to spare Doerman's surviving family members. And I'll play that for you as well, so you can hear what he had to say. What I have to say is that either way, prison is too good for that monster. And maybe you don't believe in hell either, but you're just going to have to let me have that one. Because the thought that he will rot there for all eternity is the only thing that gives me any comfort right now. Thank you for watching. And here is the press conference given by the prosecutor about his decision to offer the plea deal.
And inquired about life without parole. We brought in Laura the next morning, Wednesday morning, and had a very lengthy discussion with her. I cannot state to any level of significance the inordinate trauma that she has experienced. We have met with her 6 or 8 times, and it is painful to her. It is difficult for my assistant prosecutors, difficult for hardened, seasoned law enforcement. And my position became fairly clear to me throughout this process, and most recently Wednesday when we discussed this plea offer with Laura, that doing anything further would be actually an act of cruelty towards her. We had prepared her to testify. She was ready to testify next week. Alexis was ready to testify. But the trauma that these two experienced that day and continue to experience on a daily basis. My job as I saw it this week, was to relieve them of that additional agony. And that's why we are here today.
So it's those things considered, because I mean, you were adamant early on that you were going to seek the death penalty in this case.
That's right. That's right.
People are not going to understand that a man who killed his 3 sons is not going to face the death penalty. The public is going to have a hard time understanding that.
Well, I'm happy to answer all these questions. Any question like this. Initially, and we indicted him with aggravating circumstances for the death penalty. And he will die in prison. Will he die sooner than he would die otherwise? The last 3 individuals in Claremont County will receive the death sentence. Jerry Lawson around 1988. He died in 2015 after 27 years in prison. Michael Webb, who committed an arson back in '89, killed his 3-year-old son. He died in prison in 2022 after 31 years on death row. So these things aren't a certainty as to when execution may occur. One thing I know is a certainty is that Chad Doerman will die in prison.
Do you believe that he suffers from any type of mental illness? You talk about prior calculation and design, the discussion about him wanting to kill the boys or thinking about it since October, the 8 months prior, but then there are 3 experts who evaluated him. One, I guess, was one of your experts as well.
Let me defer until Monday when we have the press conference, because we're going to have that all laid out for you. All right?
There is a certain amount of satisfaction that the public would get from a trial to see this play out. That's not going to happen.
I'm not sure what the public satisfaction would be in watching one of the worst things I've ever seen. Again, as we were preparing this case initially for the trial that you all know was moved from July to the serious mental illness hearing that was scheduled for August 5th, these are grown, strong adults. These are dispatchers. These are firefighters. These are police officers who all cry. It is, again, agony is the best phrase I can come up with, the best word I can use. And the public is entitled to see what happened here. And they're going to see it. And you're going to hear Laura's 911 call. You'll hear nothing more chilling in your entire life than she's fighting to save her children.
Now, you talk about how grueling this was on everybody. Did you have anyone at any point in this have to step away from working on this case because of how gruesome this was?
No, we did not. We are dedicated professionals, and as you can see, Laura Barron-Allen, Katie Terpstra, Clay Tharp, and my entire staff, Stephanie Ross, they worked hand in hand with us, with the entire staff, with the Doerman family to do the best we could to make this as easy a process on them as they can, as we could make it, and at the same time be overly prepared and ready to win this case at trial.
How hard was it for you to accept this plea deal?
It was not hard. It was the right decision to do justice for these little boys, for Clayton, for Hunter, and for Chase. And part of that justice is by giving their mom and their sister some relief. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.